welcome to today's video. Today, we're talking about our online privacy. First, how private do you consider these things to be? Your cell phone number, your date of birth, marital status and mailing address, favorite websites and your photographs. What else do you consider to be private? Think about this so we can share in class. Now, I need you to please pause this video and find out the meaning of the words on the list. Remember, you can find a simple definition or a synonym. We're going to share in class. Let's continue. Think about some place fingerprint. For example, I have noticed that now some ATMs have this function. Now, is giving your fingerprint reasonable? If so, why? If not, why do you think it is unreasonable? Let's continue. Go to student book page 21, exercise 3B. We're going to listen to Mark tell Mary about a trip to a theme park. Then you need to decide if the sentences here are true or if they are false. Let's listen.
You know what drives me crazy?
What?
When you go to a store and they ask for all your personal information, and you're just buying a t-shirt or something.
I hate that too. I mean, I don't mind giving them my zip code, but nothing else.
Me too. I just say no thank you when they ask for my phone number. It's too much.
I know. We took the kids to a theme park last summer, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, the kids were all excited and everything, and we spent an hour in line waiting to get into the place. And then, when we got to the front of the line, we found out you had to give your fingerprint or you couldn't get in.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding. I wanted to walk right out of there. And I told them I didn't think it was right, to ask someone for their fingerprint to get into a theme park. And the guy behind us in line was like, "Dude, just do it and stop holding up the line."
Wow, I guess there are people happy to just do it. So what did you do?
Well, my wife was like, "We can't disappoint the kids. They've made a list of rides they want to go on, and they're so excited."
Well, of course, and they know that at that theme park. I mean, basically you have no choice. How can you turn away when you have kids in tow? I mean, who's going to do that?
Exactly. I mean, I really didn't want to give them permission to take my fingerprint, but yeah, I had to give my fingerprint.
It's ridiculous. I mean, did they say why they need your fingerprint?
Oh, yeah. They say it's so you can use the lockers. You get a locker that only opens with your fingerprint. Like, so you don't need a locker key.
Well, I guess that's kind of useful. At least you can't lose the key. But what if there's an employee who's prepared to steal your identity? I mean, what do they do with all the fingerprints at the end of the day?
Well, they said they delete them from the system, but who knows?
Yeah, I think I'd rather give up the convenience and know that my personal information is secure.
Well, actually, it wasn't that convenient in the end anyway. My wife had to go back to the locker because we'd forgotten the camera. It took her like half an hour to get back to it, right across the park in all the crowds. And then when she got there, she realized she couldn't open it anyway because it had my fingerprint on there.
Oh no, what a pain. There's a lot to be said for sticking with the old-fashioned way.
Okay, let's see. Number 1. Mark knew beforehand that he would have to give his fingerprint. That's false, right? The man behind Mark in the line agreed with Mark's point of view. False. Mary thinks the theme park knows that people will object. That's false. Mary would rather be inconvenienced than give her personal information. True. Mark's wife thought it was a convenient way of opening the lockers. False, right? Especially after what happened in the end. Okay, great. Now I want you to please read these sentences I took from the audio. What do they have in common? And the guy behind us in line was like, "Dude, just..." I guess there are people happy just to do it. If you notice, these are noun phrases. Let's take a look at this. Now I want you to please pause this video, read the sentences, and find out the differences between them. If you notice, we have relative clauses. However, I reduced them by a relative pronoun who or in this case, and also sometimes I even reduce the verb. Let's see how this works. So we can use noun phrases in order to reduce relative clauses. The first option is to use an adverb or an adverbial phrase, like the guy upstairs, instead of saying the guy who lives upstairs, or someone next door, instead of saying or someone who lives next door. You can also use a prepositional phrase. Say people on the other side of the world, instead of saying people who are or people who live on the other side of the world. Now, you can also use an adjective phrase. People happy to give away this information, and avoid saying people who are happy to give away this information. Remember, both sentences are correct, but we just want to reduce them. Now, you can use active infinitives or passive infinitives. An active infinitive, an easy concept to define, instead of saying an easy concept that people can define. Or a passive infinitive, however, this one has a future meaning. The subject to be discussed next week. The subject that is going to be discussed next week. You can use a present participle or an ing form, as in ads offering personal recommendations, instead of saying ads which are offering personal recommendations. Or a past participle to express a passive meaning. Applications programmed to monitor your messages, instead of saying applications which are programmed to monitor your messages. Now, let's go ahead and practice a little bit. Please pause this video and correct the sentences. Let's just do the first one together. The person who downstairs just moved in. In this case, we're going to omit the relative pronoun who. The person downstairs just moved in. Now, try to work on the rest and then come back to check. Okay, number 2. Remember to write the questions to be asked. It was not a nice moment to remember. It was an ad targeted to children. There is almost no one interested in the privacy terms. 6. The person asking for your fingerprint is nice. The girl under the desk is very scared. Okay, let's go ahead and continue. Now, please go to student book page 21, exercise B. Here, you're going to rewrite the comments by replacing the underlined words with the type of phrase given. Number 1. The invasion of privacy is an important matter to discuss. I use to discuss because it says that I need to use an active infinitive. I mean, how to protect our privacy is an issue? How can I rewrite this into a passive infinitive that should be taken seriously? Well, we know that it's an infinitive, so we need to use to. Now, how can we make it passive? To be? Take it seriously. That's correct. Now pause the video and work on the rest. Then come back to check. Okay, let's see. Willing to part with personal information. In your basket. Offering you discounts on those same things. Websites. Targeted at you personally. For things you really need. To worry about. To watch. Sharing your personal details with strangers. In social networking. Downstairs. Did you? Great. Now, go to our book page 10, exercise A. Here, it's a very similar activity. Please place on with other types of words. However, here, most appropriate. Look at the example. Recently, I had my sociology class read an article about online privacy and security. In my opinion, online privacy is a topic that should be taken. In this case, we rewrote it as to be taken. How are you going to do number 2? Well, in this case, we should have based on data. Now pause the video and work on the rest, please. Okay, we're going to check this together during our class.